Today's daily cyber log number 13. So 13 days down, so actually pretty exciting. Today I want to talk about two things I actually had a lot of time to study was penetration testing, and I got my notes here. Penetration testing and application security controls and techniques. So I'm just going to quickly go through the list of what I was studying. With pen testing, which is something I'm really interested in, something I'm excited to get into. And it's funny, two conversations today before I kind of go over what I reviewed. Conversation with a buddy that I went to school with who was in the IT security industry, just kind of called me and reminded me about what he's doing, what he's working on. I know right now he's going for his OSCP. He's got a wealth of knowledge, but he's kind of been on both back and forth from the managerial side to the technical side, but now he's going to focus a little bit more on the technical side. So we're kind of going back and forth of all the stuff that I've been learning, because he's kind of been someone I went to school with in 1999, 2019. He stayed with IT, and he's kind of developed into security, and he's done really well, and now he's looking at going into penetration testing and that realm. So we're kind of the same level right now when it comes to that. He's a little bit more advanced. I'll let him know that, and I mean, it's true. He's a little more advanced than I am. But when it comes down to it, we're kind of the same level where we're sharing information. So it's good to have people around, like the meetup group that I talked about, like in a lot of these videos, and then having a friend of mine that's doing it as well. It's good to have all these people that you can collaborate with. So getting back into pen testing. So I think this is lesson 23 or 24, but through that, just trying to see here as I'm reading this, lesson overview, penetration testing is more of an active, more aggressive kind of form of assessing a network, where you have vulnerability scanning is more passive. So for example, and the reason why I say I'm learning this is that they're saying it's more active is because you're actually touching something, you're actually trying to see and test, and some of the ways are like verifying a threat exists, bypassing security controls, actively testing security controls, exploiting vulnerabilities. So you can kind of see it's very active of what you're doing, where vulnerability scanning is passive, which means you're passively testing security controls. You might be using tools like Nmap, Wireshark. I know there's more I would say active tools like John the Ripper, Aircrack NG, but you can at least scan the networks and see. Metasploit framework, which I haven't touched, but I want to see that. A lot of these tools I haven't really kind of touched myself, but I'm starting to learn a little bit about them the more I study, so I want to really kind of dive deeper into that. Then we looked at, or I studied identifying vulnerabilities, identifying lack of security controls, identify common misconfigurations, intrusion versus intrusive versus non-intrusive, credentialed versus non-credential. So kind of an intrusive attack, right, versus non-intrusive, credentialed. So if someone gives you their username and password, login, access, versus non-credential, and something we're saying in the training was the credential is a little bit better because you have less false positives, versus non-credentials can have a little bit of false positives. You're trying to figure things out. Then they talked about black box testing, which is you have no knowledge of the systems, the architecture, anything along that line. You're just kind of going in blank and just trying to figure it out. Gray box. So I'm going to go from least to most. So gray box, you have a little bit of knowledge, they give you a little bit of information, but still you're kind of blind in a lot of areas. So you're trying to figure it all out as you go through, but you do have some information. And then white box is generally when you have full information. They've given you usernames, passwords, they kind of give you the architecture, and they let you know. So that's a base overview of what I was studying about pen testing, and something I'm really, as you can tell, excited and interested about, because pen testing is what I really want to get into, sort of ethical hacking, pen testing, and kind of see I'm leading up to that. And I'll slow down a little bit because I know I talk fast when I get excited. Next, what I was studying today is application security controls and techniques. Fuzzing. So fuzzing, you kind of think of fuzzy little bunny, fuzzy animal, but actually fuzzing is reviewing code, right? And it's kind of counterintuitive when we think is fuzzing, right? Like fuzzy, right? So when you start to look at it, you kind of think as just someone that doesn't know computers, doesn't know programming, you might think like a fuzzy little animal. But fuzzing is actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but this is what I was reading today, and comment below if I'm wrong, but it's to review code and test it and to see if there's any vulnerabilities, you know, any challenges, any errors, anything along that line. That's what you're doing when you're doing fuzzing. Just bring up here, my phone keeps adjusting. Secure coding concepts, which is like error and exception handling. Knowing when you do that while you're developing out the code, you don't do it after. Input validation to validate that the information that's put in the fields are correct, because that will prevent from like cross-site scripting attacks. What else? What else will prevent buffer overloading, SQL injections, XML injections? So it'll help to prevent any of that if you have input validation. And this is what this is: cross-site scripting prevention, cross-site request forgery prevention. It's just so you know you don't capture someone's information and forge their identity. Application configuration and baseline, proper setting. Application hardening, so making sure that it's safe. Application patch management, no SQL database versus SQL database. Server side versus client side validation. And then talked a little bit about attacks, and I wrote down, because one area that I'm weak on right now is understanding attacks and how it looks, because I'm not a coder right now. So buffer overflows, SQL injection, XML injection, and XSS, which is cross-site scripting injection. So that's for that. That was kind of what I covered today. Really exciting. On a personal note, one thing I wanted to and I'm going to be covering this tomorrow, because I know the next course I'm studying, the next section is mobile security. If you're using social media marketing, yes, be careful. Don't, turn off geolocation, turn off your taggings, in the sense that if you're using a camera, iPhone, whatever that may be, that's not geolocating, especially if you're posting pictures of your family, your friends, your kids, anything along that line, because it's so easy for the creepy, the dark element out there to get access. I was playing around today. A colleague of mine that I follow on their social media, I noticed they posted a picture of themselves or in something along that, something personal identifiable. So I'll just leave it at that. And what I was able to do is, one, I saw the tag, saw the location where they are. I was able to pull that out, get the actual longitude and latitude from the image in the back end, put it in Google Maps, and it was actually able to show me exactly where they were. So I sent them screenshots of it and said, look, you got to take that down. You got to stop doing that. Because at first they were kind of like, don't worry about it. And then I showed them what, just in a couple minutes I was able to do. And they were like, okay, whoa, where'd you get all that? And then I showed them a screenshot of what I just did. And they were like, really? Like, yeah, but you have to be a coder. I'm like, no, this is like simplistic things that I was doing. So security awareness, doesn't matter if you're a corporation or you're personally using technology. The awareness. I mean, I've been watching this TV show from Vice, and go to vice.com, look up cyber war. They actually have them online, so you can go watch the videos online and really kind of give you this large idea, concept of what's really going on when it comes to cybersecurity. And even cybersecurity experts we're talking about, and then they do it on the American government, shows that, and I think it was video number 6 or 7 I was watching, and the Homeland Security consultant, or I think it was manager, or whatever we'll call him, was saying in the video that we do our best, but software is hackable, right? Our job is to go in and secure it as best as possible, but we can only do so much. You've got experts. These are experts, high-level people, like people that I look up to, kind of go, I love to be these people, saying they're doing their best, right? And it just shows that security is something that's ongoing, because hackers never stop, hackers never sleep. We're talking about black hats, people that are just malicious, bad intent. They do this for fun. This is something they'll do day in and day out. And we on the other side, the ethical hackers, the ones that are trying to protect the systems and protect people, we have to have that same drive, that same enthusiasm. And a lot of guys in the industry do. it's a never-ending battle because it's always evolving. New applications coming out, new technology, new hardware, the Internet of Things. I think we were talking about Shodan website. Check this out. You can Google it, Shodan. I think it's shodan.com, where you can see all devices that are connected to the Internet across the world. Really kind of aware you. And I think on one of the videos they were talking about was, you can see in the video they were showing the website, and then you can show like the areas that were green and red. Red meaning that people that are connected and are just open. There's no security or authentication process. It's just open. You can go in and just log right in. And they were showing in different countries how open certain systems were. It just, and I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not trying to say, it's just a knowledge for yourself to keep aware of what you're doing. Buying a device, and if you're a personal user and you're using technology, asking the right questions as you're going shopping. I know this, I'm going on a little bit of a rant, but this is really personal to me because I want to make sure people are safe. Right? I want to make sure you're safe. If you're watching this video, I want to make sure you're safe. When you're going and buying your phone and buying your webcam, your mouse, your Bluetooth device, whatever that may be, you ask the questions, how do I secure this? How do I update it? How do I patch it? Right? And when would I have to patch it? When do I have to update it? How do I secure it? Right? These are the questions I want you to ask. If you're not asking them, then you need to start asking them. Right? Because remember what my ending slogan is: software is hackable, being connected is vulnerable. And if you're not asking these questions, you're leaving an access point that can compromise yourself, your family, your business, your company, anything along that line. Because for social engineering, I only have to get access to one person, right? And it can be the weakest link in that, right? That I can send out an email, and it's one of the biggest things that I've seen, and this is kind of just through my personal evolution and journey, is social engineering, phishing attacks, right? And you got, whaling, right? You got spear phishing. Whaling is when you go after people that are rich, people have high influence, right? Spear phishing is when you go after a group of people. So if you go after an organization or a group of people, right? And then phishing is you're going after just the general population, whoever will get caught. Well, what happens when you're doing phishing? Like say you're doing an email and you send someone a file, a document, a link, and there's malware or a virus or something attached to it, or even some sort of script from remote control. It's happening, and it's that easy. If you want to look this up, look at what happened with the Sony attack, right? Biggest thing, with Sony attack, it was someone that opened up, they suspect it was someone who opened up the link or a file, and the person got access and then worked their way through. So anyway, that's my rant for that. I'm really kind of, and I guess the best way to say it is I'm really passionate about helping people. You can see how fast I start talking and how kind of excited I get. But the goal for me is to learn and keep developing on my side, but as I do and talk about this journey, that make you think about, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should look more into that. Maybe I should investigate. Even if it is, you're using technology on a personal level, even if you start to think of, more security minded, that's awesome. That's part of my goal. And this is why I'm getting into security and doing this for myself, is because I'm passionate about it. I love this stuff. I love technology. I love security. I love kind of helping people and teaching. So all of this is kind of in my wheelhouse. So that's really my video for today. I don't want to make it too long, but really take a look at what you're doing, how you're protecting yourself. As I go through this, I'm going to talk about password policies and the things that I'm learning, and just talking about all different areas, from the high level technical that I'm learning to, the basic kind of information. But my goal is to share this whole journey with you. Other than that, that's it. I'm done for the video. Remember, software is hackable. Being connected is vulnerable. Make sure you're aware of that in everything that you do.